words to this computer. So the recording has started. David, do you need anything are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, I'll do that in just
when you need to. Okay, perfect. So with no further ado, over to David. Best of luck.
It was the morning after, the night before. It was the 14th of July. I was still in shock. I had a telephone call from Spider Killer, my great friend from Kildare Toastmasters. She said, "It went great." I couldn't believe it. She said, "You know, I was a bit worried, so I didn't wear my hearing aid." Well, you can just imagine how I felt. A weapon of mass destruction could have been unleashed the night before and brought disaster to all in attendance. Who would have thought that such a little device could have caused a terrible problem? But you know, it's like anything. Problems are there to be solved. And we as Toastmasters find that if we get together, we can solve most things. And of course, when we were challenged in the earlier part of this year and asked to conduct online meetings in order that we could continue to speak in public and to engage with one another, we took up that challenge and we decided we'd give it a go. We're some months on, having completed our year in 2019 and 20. We conducted contests at all levels. We completed our goals for the year, and we've now started the year afresh. And it's my goal as area director this year and as president of Newbridge Toastmasters International to try something new, to encourage all of the clubs in our area and further afield, in fact, to engage in a thing called the hybrid. So, many of you may have not encountered the hybrid version of Toastmasters meetings, but hopefully tonight I can explain a little bit about what hybrid meetings are about, how to conduct them, and what are some of the pitfalls to watch out for. So I'm just going to share my screen to outline some of the slides in a PowerPoint presentation to assist you with conducting hybrid meetings and how to address different things that you might find along the way. Well, someone had to do it, didn't they? I hadn't heard of many people who had done it, but I decided it was time to do it. Hybrid meetings were coming of age at Toastmasters. So what is a hybrid? Well, it's a meeting where a limited number of Toastmasters members may meet face-to-face while the other participants attend live online at the same time. It could be where a club in fact meet face-to-face at one meeting during the course of a month with limited numbers, and then for their very next meeting they meet online. Some people might call this blended, others might call it hybrid. But the real form of hybrid is actually when members meet in person in limited numbers while conducting the same meeting online and engaging with other members. Under current guidelines from Toastmasters International, and of course we operate from District 71, it's recommended that about 50% of members maximum might attend in person for such a meeting, while the remainder appear online or attend online. So, what do you need to watch out for? Well, of course, we're living in the COVID-19 period of our lives. So, as expected, clubs should have a COVID-19 sign-off protocol. And for those of you who might like to see that, I can show you during the Q&A session. You should try to organise the attendance fee to be paid in advance, perhaps. For those who are actually going to attend in person, maybe ask them to pay online through a bank transfer rather than handling cash on the night. And of course, as part of the protocol, COVID-19 protocol, politely ask attendees to wear face masks on the night. It's also very important that you observe social distancing at the venue. So it's important to check out your venue and see have you sufficient space. And then, of course, we need to also address the usual issues of outlining for people, once again, that sanitizer has been provided, and also advise attendees about COVID-19 etiquette for sneezing and coughing. All as you would expect. So, at a hybrid meeting, what sort of a picture would you expect to greet you? Well, it's an audio and a visual experience. So for the most part, for people attending online, while they might like to see you and might like to see what's happening in relation to those in attendance in the room at the actual meeting, they also want to hear everything clearly. So it's very important that you address the audio situation, that you don't have a thing called feedback. And we've been working very hard the last few weeks in addressing issues relating to the audio, because the audio that you have in the room may be quite different to what you're experiencing online. And it's very, very important that that element of the meeting is controlled and organized very well in order that everybody has a very good experience. So these are the tools of the trade. After having conducted some weeks of research, we've determined that you will need, if you wish to go with a hybrid meeting, you will need items such as an extension lead, a smart TV, a HDMI cable, and this little gizmo here in the middle, that white device, that's for holding a mobile phone and for using the mobile phone as a camera. So on the night, you'll require 2 of those. That's just some of the equipment. But of course, very important, not to forget the remote control for your smart TV. You don't want to look silly on the night and have no visual for your online members or participants to watch. And so here are the items that I have listed that we've broken down into as small a list as possible. It might seem like a lot of equipment, but many members may have some or all of these things. So first of all, you can ask one of the members perhaps to provide a smart TV. A 32 or a 36-inch screen should be sufficient, and an external speaker. Of course, the external speaker would normally be on your smart TV, but as we know, some of the smart TVs have a separate external speaker provided. It's important to have a HDMI cable to hook up to a laptop. This costs about €7. And for those of you who don't know what a HDMI cable is, that's a high definition multimedia interface. Nothing to worry about. And if you're looking for a cable, would you believe it? They have them on Amazon. So I was talking a little bit earlier about mobile phones and using them as cameras. You'll need two mobile phones, one to show what the audience are doing and show the audience in attendance. And the second mobile phone will be focused on the speaker who might be standing at the podium in the room. So in order to provide a device to hold those, you can use two tripods or you can use mobile phone stands. I particularly like the mobile phone stands. They will grip onto a table. I'm not sure if you can see my camera present, but these are the items as displayed once again in this picture here. You see center stage, the item I'm talking about. This fastens to a table or a shelf. So you will need two laptops, one in the room, which is connected to the smart TV, and the other in an adjoining room, both of which you can no doubt borrow from members. A microphone is optional because ultimately your laptop should have its own internal microphone, but some may opt to connect a microphone to either a mobile phone or to a laptop. But testing is important, and you need to ensure that you've done a road test in relation to your microphone, but spend no more than about €160. Once again, you should get one of these on Amazon or at thomann.ie. As I said earlier, that ever essential extension lead will come in handy, and no doubt someone who has a lawnmower or a strimmer at home will have an extension lead. So borrow, beg, but don't really. There's no necessity to buy this. Someone should have one. If you're going to buy one, obviously you can get one in any store, like a hardware store or Woodies or B&Q, whatever. And then possibly the last item, a headset for the Zoom Master. Now I refer to the Zoom Master because that's the person we have in the next room. He's your backup or she's your backup. And they will, of course, be sitting in attendance in the other room and making sure that the online membership and participants are doing okay and that everything is in order and that any issue technically may be addressed separately. So, who are you going to ask for help? Who are you going to call? Well, you need 5 key players in order to conduct a hybrid meeting. Number 1 is the Zoom Master, whom I've just referred to, who you will ask to connect to your Zoom meeting online in a separate room. It's very important to have that person because they may need to restart the meeting if a technical hitch arises. The second team that you should be looking at here are the greeters. These are the people on the ground who greet people at the door. And with the COVID-19 protocols in place, these people are essential in order to facilitate social distancing and to allow people to feel comfortable when they come to the meeting. The sergeant at arms may be heavily tied up, ensuring that people have filled out their COVID-19 protocols and that they're checked in. So the greeters can be more relaxed in their approach and be more welcoming. So I would recommend this. And this has been very successful at other hybrid meetings in Scotland and in Wales and the UK. So I'd highly recommend it. And of course, the third person is the Toastmaster on the night. You need your team to commit. You need them to understand that the hybrid meeting is a little bit different to your normal meeting and that they need to act together as a team. And if problems arise, that they'll resolve them calmly and efficiently to the satisfaction of the audience, both online and in attendance face to face. So, in order to set the scene, what should you do? Well, as I said earlier, you should do a test run. The audio is the key. We've been testing the audio for the last 2 weeks, and we identified a number of issues, but we've now solved those issues. And we're happy to say that this is the route to go. And as I said earlier, Try and get your team to commit. Our experience at Newbridge Toastmasters International, when we ran our first hybrid meeting on the 13th, was that people were engaged, who were involved. They understood that the meeting was going to be somewhat different, but they weren't necessarily fully committed because they thought they could sort everything on the night. Now, we arrived early, as recommended in the list of items here, but some of them didn't actually get going until half an hour before the meeting. I myself was in attendance 2 hours before, but most of the team arrived an hour and a half before, because the room had to be laid out and everything had to be set up. So arriving early is key to the whole mission of the evening. And getting your team on board is terribly important to understand that things often take a little bit more time than they might normally do when you're doing a face-to-face meeting in normal circumstance. And of course, you should be ready to open online 30 minutes before kickoff. Everything should be done. You should be all set to go. You position 2 cameras in the room, as I said. You can use 2 mobile phones on those gizmos I demonstrated earlier, one showing the audience in attendance and the second camera facing the speaker who's standing at the podium. It's important also to appoint co-hosts online off-site. So again, if there's any issue with technical difficulties that for whatever reason leave the audience in attendance offline for any period, then the other attendees online are being attended to by the Zoom master. As I said, important to have a separate room at the venue. And you could even consider making the Zoom master the Toastmaster. Wouldn't that be something different? To have an online Toastmaster, to have speakers in the room presenting speeches, and perhaps having additional speakers taking part online. As people go down the route of hybrid, they become more adventurous, they become more confident, and it will become the new normal. But it will take time and it will take practice. So in setting up, it is key to have a good internet connection. So in our particular case in Newbridge, we have an excellent internet connection, but it's important that you connect physically, that you connect your Ethernet cable to the laptop of the Zoom master in the other room. Your backup to that is the Wi-Fi, and then your third backup, of course, is 4G, which would be on a mobile device. And then, of course, you can depend on the other co-hosts of off-site who are looking after things in your absence should the connection fail altogether. Another aspect which you mightn't have thought of, which came up during our experience, check on your Zoom license. Make sure it's not about to phase out, or maybe it hasn't synced with what you have thought you have prepared for the year ahead. You might suddenly find yourselves crashing out after a few minutes, only to have to try and log back in again. But we've been there, we've done that, we've experienced these things. So by highlighting it now, this hopefully will help you to understand that these are things that can happen, but they can be overcome. And of course, finally, you will need to look at things like lighting, as you would when you're preparing for a performance on any stage. And it's important to ensure that the lighting is not blinding anything that the online team might find a little bit to deal with. So ensure in your venue that lights are not positioned in such a way that they're illuminating people in ways that cause difficulty with your cameras in the room. So the thing about hybrid meetings to remember, there isn't a them and us scenario. It's not about those guys online and us in the room. It's about us Toastmasters, experiencing a Toastmasters meeting in a different way. It's the new normal. So we have to face the challenge and take up that challenge. And my call to you and the membership in general is to consider that hybrid may be something which we should take on and take a chance. Take that leap of faith. It mightn't be at every meeting, but you might consider that this is something to do occasionally at meetings in general. So for some, that might mean every second meeting, it might mean every third meeting, or it might mean every fourth or fifth meeting. But I challenge you all to consider it. You will be better as a result of having tried it, and you'll find that your membership is more engaged as a result. I know from experience that it was an emotional evening for all of us. Despite the stress of trying to resolve certain issues on the night, it was exciting. It provided us with a new dynamic. And the challenge itself made people step up. And my team are certainly engaged for our next hybrid, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you'll consider a hybrid challenge for the year ahead. I'm asking all of the clubs in Area 28 to consider that challenge and give it a go. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I'm not sure where we're at time because I didn't see the time. I'm going to hand over for our Q&A session. If anybody has anything to ask me, I'd be happy to answer in the best way I can. Ryan.
Hi, David. Just on the tech, is that in regards to a club that needs the 2 laptops and the 2 phones, or are you saying individual members if they want to join the meeting remotely? Or are you just saying that's the club needs 2 laptops, 2 phones, and all the rest?
We spent a little bit of time looking at the items that you might require and how best to conduct the meeting. And what was experienced in the early stages of doing these hybrid meetings was, first of all, there was kind of a them and us situation, that not enough attention was given to audio issues, lighting issues, and how to deal with the fact that those in attendance weren't really engaged with those who were online, and vice versa. So the tech that we've identified, for example, the smart screen, which I'm just going to turn around my screen just to show you what I have in the room. I have my gizmos, as you can see them there. There's one. Remote control. So we originally were trying to do this with a projector, which most clubs have. We were trying to use external speakers, which most clubs have or can source. Or most clubs might decide to even use a Bluetooth device. But what did we discover? We discovered these were causing huge audio issues. And I think Garrod will confirm this, because Garrod and I and Moira O'Brien and the technical team at District 71 have been discussing this at long hours and late nights sessions to resolve the issues. And the tech that I have listed is the most basic requirement to do this. Most people have laptops. Would you agree? Is there anyone here present? If you would like to raise your hand, if you don't have a laptop, please raise it now. So everybody has a laptop. That's great. Smart TVs. Who's got a smart TV? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 people in our audience here out of 17 people have indicated they have smart TVs. We just need 1. Okay, yeah, 6. Any more takers? So look, it's not a difficult one. The nice thing about smart TVs is that the audio is much, much better for the online using a smart TV than if you add on an external device to your laptop. It's far, far better. How do we know this? We've tested it. We've tested it again and again and again. So there's your answer, I hope. Ryan, does that help you in any way?
Yeah, no, it's kind of, you've already sort of trialed out everything else, so it seems like you've sort of arrived at this based on bittersweet experience.
Yeah, trial and error, yeah. Joanne, I think you have a question.
Yeah, hi, Davis. So we're doing our first hybrid meeting on the 4th of August in Athy. And you suggested there that the Toastmaster, I'm the Toastmaster at the live venue. So you suggested that the Toastmaster could be the Zoom master as well, who greets the people online. Is that, did I take that right? And the Zoom master would need to be in a room outside, obviously, because all the people are going to be coming in, there's going to be noise. So the Zoominator / Toastmaster will need to be in a separate room greeting the people online. Am I right in saying that?
I was suggesting it might be worth it might be worth trying that. I would, however, recommend doing a little demo with your core team prior to the meeting in the venue.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
And just look at the dynamic that it creates, particularly with a nice smart TV screen in play.
Yeah, because my concern was there might be a minute or two break from coming from the physical room into the main room where the event is going to be taking place. It was only like however long it takes you to get into the next room, but it'd be a break.
Well, I was suggesting that Toastmaster Zoominator continue online using the smart screen, and that the audience present is looking at the smart screen. It would create a different interaction. It's just an idea. I'm not saying that's the way to do it. I'm just suggesting it's worth trialing. Antonita, I think you, sorry to cut you off, Joanne.
Thank you. No, that's great.
Did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand raised. Yeah. You're muted, Antonita.
Okay, thank you for the initiative, David, and congrats on it and for sharing it. We'll look forward to be able to implement something like this in Lima in 2021. And I have a couple questions. I see very clearly the benefits to the point of also continuing the international participation that this time has given us the chance to do so. I think all clubs or many clubs can continue to benefit from it with this type of meetings. And so my question is, what was the toughest challenge that you have when you started implementing it? Or first, because actually we're in a committee, you know, Dagmara and I, and our first challenge will be to convince the current members that this is the way to go. So if you could break it into my question in 2 times, let's say, first, everybody was on board, or there was some resistance from the members to go this way? Yes. That would be the first question. And second, what was the challenge, the most important or most difficult challenge you had when already implementing it?
Right. Well, obviously the first experience of this in discussing this with the club membership was one thing. I had done a little bit of research in I had attended a few international meetings to get a sense of what was the feeling and the sentiment around the globe about conducting hybrid meetings. So I had a sense that there was an interest in this, and this was even demonstrated last Saturday when there were 172 participants in a meeting online about hybrid meetings. This was conducted by online Toastmasters. And there were attendances from people in Australia, the United States, South America, Africa, UK, all over pretty much, quite frankly. So it was great interest. So when we discussed this at club level, there was a sense that members wanted to meet, but in limited numbers, and if we took the right precautions. So we were very conscious of people's anxieties, and that COVID-19 has been a game changer. So we had to relieve those anxieties first. So we assured them that this method would allow us to meet in a certain number, and also those who felt overly anxious still could do so online. So we decided to give it a try, but some of the technical members weren't terribly sure what was involved, despite our checklists, despite our informing one another and chatting and meeting prior to. They didn't fully understand what was involved until we did it. That's why my presentation was entitled, "Someone Had to Do It." So you had to do it to really understand what was involved. And if we fell down, we fell down. But the challenge is to get back up and do it again and do it better. And that's our challenge and that's our mission. And now everyone is committed, because ultimately it was an emotional experience at the end of the night. And those who were there present in the room felt this was wonderful. It was great to be back. So I hope that answers your question, Antonita.
Thank you. And let's coordinate. We'd love to have you for as a guest when time comes, you know, to deliver the presentation maybe in our club as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Anthony, I think you had a question. Is that correct? You're okay.
My question is, there's different layers of complexity and stuff, and you've shown that in terms of getting the whole thing, the infrastructure set up. Is there a possibility of sharing resources? In other words, you're in the front line in Kildare, so the 6 clubs in Kildare, that rather than the 6 clubs going off in their individual direction and trying to do what you've done, that you would be available to give the facility maybe in your location to have a Kildare meeting, or have a Kildare and Clane meeting, or mix it up that way, so that there would be one meeting in Kildare, let's say hybrid, for the month of September, and anyone could join in. We could share and we could come closer together by virtue of the hybrid for a couple of months. We don't know how long it's going to go on.
Thank you, Tony. That's actually an excellent idea. It's something which I was considering, and one which I'm going to raise with the presidents and VPs at our next area meeting, because I would like to encourage us to come together as a group of what will become 6 clubs in Area 28, but at present 5. And the new management team at Tricky Tricksters, Magic Castle, I'm sure would be only too delighted to accommodate all of the clubs who might wish to attend in hybrid format on that occasion. So thank you for that suggestion. I think, Rob, that's pretty much it, is it? Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and you have something to take home. And I hope you take up the hybrid challenge.
Very good.